Fortnite messed up Season 3, from these stupid bees and no mobility, and now backlash for doubling down on the most hated gun of all time. The drum shotgun caused a lot of issues when it released, and it was so ridiculously overpowered it got vaulted in less than a season. Now the mythic version is here, and as expected, it blasts people, smashes through their walls, and at zero build, it's practically impossible to escape. But a lot of players are confused over Season 3's most useless feature. Fortnite has replaced fireflies with a new type of insect, the wild wasp, and it's quickly become super annoying. If you run past them, they'll chase after you, so people expect them to do the same thing when you throw them at an enemy. Nope, they just fly around and do nothing, not to mention it barely deals any damage. You guys told us how disappointed you were with the Transformers collab. I mean, who doesn't want Optimus Prime in Fortnite? It really is amazing, but Epic messed up. He's a Transformer who can transform. Players were hoping we get something like Kit's emote where Optimus turns into a truck, only for Rocket League to rub salt in the wound. They got a collab of their own, but it had Bumblebee, and of course, he can transform. To make things worse, Fortnite put Optimus Prime in Tier 100, making it harder than ever to get him. You have to buy the Battle Pass and then play the game for dozens of hours just to earn the collab. Now we have probably the loudest complaint of Season 3, mobility. This can be solved with a single item, but that day is yet to come because we're missing tons of movement that made last season so much fun. We're able to swing around using Miles' web shooters, and everyone knows how popular these are. The same goes for the ODM gear and the kinetic blade. This surprised a lot of people. The blade would fit perfectly into this season, especially with the dueling ground still on the map. I mean, going through the forest with a katana sounds fun, especially in zero build, so why are they gone? Because of this, getting around Season 3's map is very slow, and players hope the kinetic boomerang would solve this, but it has no mobility at all. In the past, an item being called kinetic mean you would move around with it, but not anymore. Another weapon that was needlessly removed is the Red Eye. Season 3 was only a couple days old when the AR got deleted without warning. They threw it into the loot pool on day one, baiting thousands of players who use this as their favorite gun. Everyone was excited to keep this as their main and figured out the best ways to combine it with new items. Then, boom, it's gone. It's only to be replaced by the MK Alpha, one of the most anticipated items of Chapter 4. It's based on the MK7, which was adored by players, so when we heard this was coming out, excitement was through the roof. But then, it came out, disappointing thousands of fans. They nerfed the weapon with a slower fire rate, reload speed, and even less bullets. But let's move on to the Battle Pass, because it is definitely splitting a lot of fans this season. It's full of fresh outfits and styles, but there is one skin that players have to criticize. Lorenzo is the fastest remix of Fortnite history, and 2 Battle Passes back to back. He is a human version of Renzo the Destroyer. I'll allow it because the 2 skins are so different from each other, but there are people out there who feel like it should be a lower tier or something. Speaking of recycling, someone who's way more guilty of this, and that is over at Mega City. Highcard is a boss that's been around for months, and you've been able to eliminate him for vault keycards. There's only one problem: Highcard hasn't changed once, not for events, new seasons, or POI additions. Fans are getting tired of him already and wish he would step aside from new bosses because it's getting kinda old. And everyone is getting old still waiting for a live event. I mean, it has been so long since Fracture. After the backlash from that, Epic is working extra hard to make sure the next event blows us away, which makes sense, but it doesn't make the wait any easier. But we have to talk about the secret skin. This has torn the community in half, and everyone is choosing a side. Paradise Meowscles is taking the slot, and yeah, a lot of people love Meowscles, but it's weird to put him as a secret skin. That slot is usually reserved for storyline characters or collabs, with some fans suggesting that Relic or Dr. Sloan made a little bit more sense. But nothing really makes sense this season. For one of the first times ever, we have started without any new boss mythics. It's basically tradition at this point to drop on a new map and find at least one boss mythic. We know that Epic's working on it with Wildguard Relic's mythic MK, but it's nowhere to be found. Instead, we are overwhelmed by fish. If you're a fan of fishing, you'll be given way too many thermal floppers, and it's really hard to get anything else. You can see why Fortnite did this, but if you consider the thermal perk and the DMR already in the loot pool, there's just too much thermal in the game right now. Then we move on to vehicles, because Fortnite left rogue bikes on the map, which are pretty needed thanks to the lack of mobility, but they screwed it up. Fans are hopping on a bike, hoping to get around, only to leave Mega City and get trapped. As soon as you exit the city, you'll end up in the jungle, and it's a nightmare trying to drive through it. That's not the only problem people have with the biome. It's beautiful, you can't deny that, but Epic wants you to appreciate it a little too much. By that I mean you can't destroy anything. Most of the trees are indestructible, and farming for mats is impossible because you get stuck all the time. Feels like a totally different game in this POI, which is probably intended, but some fans aren't happy about it. Especially when half of the locations are trapped behind a puzzle. If you want good loot in the forest, you gotta head to a temple, and everything is locked until you solve the mini games. Obviously, when you're in the middle of a game, going through this is the last thing you want, so players are just ignoring it. And when you look on social media, everyone is complaining about a huge problem that has ruined rank mode. This thing only released a couple weeks ago, and it's already getting a massive overhaul that deletes everyone's progress. Season 0 of Ranked was meant to last until the end of August, but Epic announced they're making changes to the system. Because of this, they are resetting everyone's rank in the next update, so anyone who grinded to Unreal completely wasted their time. And look, I just gotta say, shout out to everyone at Epic who made this new jungle biome. It's incredible and honestly makes the game feel super fresh, but they made this place so good, it actually shot them in the foot. Seasons usually have a new biome or map area, along with smaller landmarks around the rest of the island. But this time, Epic changed nothing outside of the jungle. The second you leave the new area, you're walking around the Season 2 map. It would have been so cool if they added overgrown POIs. Imagine trees taking over Mega City or something. I mean, there is that leak volcano though, so we'll have to wait and see. Sadly, this is yet another season of Epic completely forgetting about LTMs. It's been so long since we got one, and Imposters was the last mode to truly blow us away. Ever since they prioritized creative mode, Fortnite has abandoned LTMs and refused to bring them back. Everyone wants to play old modes like Air Royale, Floor is Lava, or the Getaway, and it's not like you can make them in creative. So fans are also wondering why useful items are deleted this season. For the first time ever, the shield keg has been removed, and the question is, why? There were no complaints about it, the item was balanced, and was honestly a lifesaver in the right situation. Now there is no consumables we could use while shooting or protecting our squad. Others missed a chug splash, but I can see why they got vaulted. Epic is working on an exotic slap splash that'll probably replace it, but they could have given us more time. They're not even out yet. And it looks like we have a new contender for the most divisive item of Season 3. When it dropped, the flapjack rifle was loved by players, and they thought it was a great reincarnation of the drum gun. But then you realize what the drum gun actually did, and yeah, the same problem is happening again. Half of players love shredding enemies with this, and the other half are the ones being shredded, so yeah, they're not happy. But at least they can play the game. A ton of fans are getting a terrible experience because theirs keeps crashing. There's a lot of problems right now that Epic are working overtime to fix, from your game closing in the middle of a match, to the Burn Bright emote crashing, to everything. On consoles, there's also an issue when you load into the lobby that basically Alt F4s you without warning. Hopefully it is fixed soon, but what we're actually waiting for is all the leaked content in Season 3. Epic left a ton of weapons and items in the files, completely encrypted so that data miners could reveal everything on day 1. We're still waiting for items like the flamethrower that was leaked at the very start of Chapter 4, not to mention the backpack minigun and dozens of movement features that still haven't released. Don't even get me started on first person, I mean, come on. Not only does it spoil the surprise, but people are disappointed how much content is in the works compared to what's actually released. There is probably a good reason behind this. I mean, most of us don't work on video games, but it's impossible not to feel a little disappointed when you know what's coming. Anyway, those were Season 3's biggest problems explained by you, the fans. This has been Tommy. Keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.